Hey everybody, and welcome to my N5 series on the Roland SP404 mk2, where I cover a topic in about 5 minutes. I had at one point poked through the firmware a bit and had kind of figured out a few things. I lost all my notes though, so I've been like kind of slowly recreating stuff. But for anybody that's just interested in the firmware, it's and I know there's people that just talk like, hey, like how do we get our own custom firmware and stuff. I don't think anybody's done any significant or substantial work to really document what's going on. I'm not really a firmware hacker and probably not going to go too deep into playing around with stuff. I will tell you, I've found there are text strings in the firmware, and I've tried doing a search and replace on a few things, and was able to upload the firmware into my SP404 mk2. But I'll be honest, I don't want to break it, and I don't think Roland would help me fix it if I totally tipped it over and caused a problem. That said, we do have the bootloader, and when you hold down Shift and power it on, you put it into update mode. So as long as you don't break the update mode, you're probably fine, but I haven't wanted to figure out. All that said, though, what I've got here is in my Git repo that's linked in the description. I've just put in like a few files. What I'm basically doing is one of them is this get firmware.sh, and all it does is it's just a little simple script that I don't need to run because I've already got it here, but it just does a quick wget of the latest firmware v501. It unzips it and it just removes the zip file from the directory. In the .git ignore in this Git repo, I've just told it to ignore this directory. So if you've got it there and downloaded, it won't be telling you you've got anything to go check out, update, or change. And really, all I've mostly done for a lot of these is just do line breaks on null values. So if I give you a quick example, I'll just cat out this sh source search. So I was curious if there was any .sh files that might be referenced in the firmware, and just wrote it. So what the first part here is doing is it is basically going through the bin file, the app1 bin, and basically just breaking on /0, which is a null line. Basically, it tends to be an end of string character, and then pipe that into another Perl script that's just doing a regular expression, looking for case insensitive .sh with a word look. Something that has like a word, like a letter or number, is what the /w is saying. So if I go run this, you're going to see it outputs nothing. That's just it's going through a ton of text, but it's not finding anything. On the other hand, though, we do get some interesting results for doing like this C source search. So as part of building the firmware, it is adding in a whole bunch of part of the build processes can take like garbage that is in memory and things just to pad out areas, and sometimes that leaks into like firmware or other binary builds. But if I go do like this .c/source, you can see there are a whole bunch of interesting pieces of information that we get for some CPP, C++, and .c files. So there's a mix of C++ and C. Some of these are going to very likely just be internal Roland C++ files, but for example, if you go look up RT1062 device, this is a chip that is in the SP404 mk2, and I forget what it handles offhand, but you can go look up the specs for it, go download the PDF that explains what it's doing, and you can actually find these C files. Conceivably, somebody that was interested in doing that could then find out like what it compiles down to. I'm assuming this is probably an ARM chip or ARM variant that Roland has licensed and made their own, but I don't know. I haven't tried to decompile any of the firmware, but for folks that do that kind of work, you can certainly go look at that. There is also some other interesting things that I found here, like this kernel search. It is if you go search for kernel using some of the similar techniques, we can see micro t-kernel version 2.0044. The microkernels tend to be very small Linux-based kernels, and they have just enough to boot up like an embedded device or something else, get the lights going, and do a few other things. Might be some things that are interesting to look at through that as well. If I do the BMP search, I gotta do /BMP. We can see there's all kinds of, and I only just did BMPs. There might be GIFs, JPEGs, or other PNGs and other stuff. I just haven't updated the script, but we can see that there's references to all kinds of image data. Some of it we know is like actual image data. Like I suspect B:/Roland SP404 mk2 project, this %02D is probably saying it's looking up a specific number, picture, and then startup_1.bmp. I mean, this reflects pretty closely with what we see for like the screensaver and other things that we can get in and edit. My guess is that this is giving us information about references for internal drive structure, or this could just be like the drive structure of a build system that's running on like Windows or something. I don't know. I'd have to go look more into this, but again, like I'm just putting this information out there for people that are interested in scrubbing through this kind of stuff just to see. What else did I have here? Bracket search. I forget if this had anything interesting or not. Yeah, it's like it seems like they might have like some search or replace or other things just to denote things. Some of this looks like garbage text, but some of it looks like actual, like, you know, pan, min, enter, and things. There may be something like that you could find references in the file for where these are showing up, and then figure out where if they're getting referenced by as memory locations or something else. Definitely cool stuff to do there. Was there any other? The TXT search. There are references to a few TXT files. I'm not taking anything too much away from this. I think it just happens. Again, I think it's just garbage memory that's just being dumped into the bin file to pad stuff out. And then the last one is wave search. We can see that there's some wave files that are being referenced here, and I would suspect like this here is probably some memory that's telling it, the %s is saying take a string, multi-pad string, pattern with a string and number, and then giving the pad name. This is probably the rough, like if you're doing like a printf or something, how it's getting the information generically through like a function call or something to build out like our multi-pad exports. Again, I'm just taking a guess though, I don't know. I haven't spent any more time, but letting folks know, I'll probably make a few more of these like search scripts, searching through text or other things that might be interesting as they come to mind. But for folks that really are into firmware hacking, if this is anything that anybody's interested in, I'd say keep playing around and poking at stuff. You can, it's not easy, but I mean, you can actually just go do like a VI and text edit on these files, and if you just open it up, I mean, you can see here, right, like /rec.bin. So clearly there's like bin files in here for references or like other things that you can go poke around in. This is like a whole bunch of hex though. This is intermixed with code, data, and all kinds of other stuff. So it takes the time, patience, and effort to figure out what all this stuff means. But for those that are interested, the app 1 seems to have a whole lot of cool stuff. When you go through app 0, it doesn't seem to have any like text in it. So I don't know at the moment which one's used for which, but I'd say, you know, feel free, poke around. Obviously, like be careful if you decide to upload a modified firmware up into your own system. But these are just the kinds of things that if anybody wants to do this work, you'll just have to start doing your experimentation, research, and look around. Anyway, thanks everybody for stopping by. Keep making music, keep having fun. Remember, if it sounds good, it is good. And peace.